Product provided by Armor Game Studios. The Adventure Pals is a new action platformer coming to the PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC today. It's a game with an incredible amount of charm and humor that feels like the Adventure Time game I've always wanted, just without the cast and setting from the show. Play as a young boy whose birthday is ruined in an odd turn of events filled with beautifully drawn animations, friendship, exploration, and of course kicking butt. This game stars a young little boy in the middle of celebrating his birthday. Your in-game father wakes you up one morning to surprise you with your birthday gift. The celebration though is cut rather short when your father is kidnapped by the evil Mr. B. Being the completely evil odd villain he is, Mr. B offers to return your father to you in exchange for some rubies. Now we have to go on this crazy adventure to collect enough rubies to save our father. It's not going to be easy though. Throughout our adventure, we'll run into a handful of side characters and quests that'll take us on even more obscure adventures. Travel throughout the 5 domains of the world as you help others on the way to save your father. Equipped with your pet giraffe and your best friend, a rock, well, there's nothing you can't do. The story is told entirely via in-game text dialogue, and while I usually prefer voice dialogue, the writing for the characters really carries on the story. You'll come across the likes of a man who is looking for his wife and a whale who lacks a bit of self-confidence. Both are hilarious scenarios and conversations that only scratch the surface of this game's unique cast of characters. This may not be an official Adventure Time game, but the inspiration is certainly there. The Adventure Pals may not be the best written story in terms of a narrative in games before, but it's certainly one of the most fun stories I've had the pleasure of experiencing this year. The Adventure Pals is broken up into 5 domain areas, each with their handful of different levels and quests. The ultimate goal is to collect enough rubies to pay back Mr. B's ransom for your dad. Each domain can be broken up into a handful of levels, quests, minigames, and hub areas. With your pet giraffe at your side, you travel around the region completing the levels that are filled with secrets, rubies, and enemies to fight with. Jumping into a level, it's usually divided into sections with checkpoints at the start of each section. Right from the start, you'll have a sword that you can use to beat up other enemies getting in your way. In the earlier parts of the game, combat can result in just quickly mashing the attack button, but that branches up as you level up. You see, with every enemy you defeat, they drop these blue XP orbs that help you level up. When you do actually gather enough XP to level up, you're given the chance to unlock a new skill. Usually 3 options are given to choose from. Some of these options can be something like a larger backpack to carry more items, or a stronger attack against shields. These upgrades help flesh out the combat by giving you new abilities and forms of tackling enemies, especially the larger, more difficult ones that appear in later parts of the game. Your giraffe friend isn't just a normal giraffe though. It can help you out by using its tongue like a helicopter propeller. Think of it as the equivalent to Tails in Sonic or Kazooie in Banjo-Kazooie. Not only are they your friend, but they're also a nifty tool in your arsenal. In addition to having your giraffe, you also have one of your greatest friends, a rock. This isn't just a normal rock though. The rock can actually help you fight off enemies around you through some of the upgrades mentioned earlier. With your 2 friends at your side, you platform your way through each of the levels, running down paths, wall jumping, and destroying enemies. The feeling of platforming in this game is a bit floaty, though I didn't really mind it too much. It reminded me of a pseudo-slightly lighter Super Meat Boy physics engine, where you might be lighter but you can still perform wall jumps in the game. Every domain introduces new platforming elements, from toasters that shoot you up into the air to grappling hooks that you can latch onto. The floaty aspect I mentioned earlier might turn off some gamers, but I didn't mind it too much as it also contributed to the large leaps in wall scaling made throughout the game. Now at the end of every level is a ruby for you to collect, but even more fun are the secrets you can collect. Throughout the levels you can find cupcakes, stickers, and occasionally items that are used in quests. Cupcakes are used to unlock costumes for your group of friends. They're as dorky as they are adorable. The stickers found are collectibles that go into your sticker book. I found these to be really neat, especially when I found some familiar faces from other games in the book. Outside of the main levels, you can compete in minigame like arenas. Each domain has an arena that acts like a survival mode for the game. You take on rounds of enemies that get progressively more challenging. If you survive all the rounds, you'll be rewarded with useful prizes that you can use in other levels. Along with arenas, each domain has a hub area and a shop. In these areas, you can shop for items that are used in other levels, everything from the likes of health potions to bombs to fight enemies with. You'll also come across quirky, charming NPCs, usually offering quests that'll lead you into the next level. Each of the domains are rounded off with a boss fight that ends up being some of the most humorous and visually pleasing parts of the game. Very much like a Kirby game, they weren't the most challenging parts of the game, but they were certainly some of the most enjoyable. The overall campaign should take you about 10 hours to complete, a little more if you go back and try to find all the cupcakes and stickers in levels. There's a bit of replay value outside of that with the local co-op play, however much like the new Super Mario Bros. Wii game, the co-op feels much more like you're being dragged along rather than helping each other out. The second player is quite literally just a color swap of the main character. The Adventure Pals looks like a living, breathing Newgrounds animation, but in a video game. The art is completely hand-drawn with this art aesthetic that looks bright and colorful. Even more prominent than the use of bright colors in the game is the lighting system. At all times your character has this minimal spotlight shining on them, a good way to stay focused on the main character. Aside from that though, there's a lovely use of god rays and multiple backdrop layers in every stage. The end result is a lovely piece of art that, while it can occasionally overuse the bloom effect, is still looking mostly stunning and remarkable. I played the game on the PC and got an absolutely gorgeous experience. With that said, I personally can't speak for the performance on other platforms from experience since I only played on the PC, but it does target 1080p 60 across the board. One thing I would have loved to see a bit more of or changed up a bit would be the backgrounds. The backgrounds in this game are built up in layers with the main backdrop being a large panoramic picture. Rather than having a scrolling image, I would have loved to see a bit more animation going on in the background, but that's just a minor nitpick with the rest of the visuals setting the bar pretty high up. Music in the game is bright and peppy. A lot of the songs actually sound like they'd belong in the first level of a Kirby game. That's not to say that they're all calming and peaceful though. A good chunk of the soundtrack features some pretty epic sounding adventure tracks that could fit into most modern Saturday morning cartoons. The Adventure Pals is a delightful action platformer that truly delivers a grand, endearing, and witty adventure. The 10+ hour game will take you across 5 different terrains, each with their own little section of levels, bosses, mini-games, and my favorite, the funny cast of characters. The platforming and combat felt solid with a beautiful presentation throughout the whole game. The co-op might be a little bit half-baked, but at its core, the Adventure Pals is a marvelous action platformer that I unquestionably recommend at its current launch $15 price tag. That does it for my review of the Adventure Pals for the Nintendo Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. If you have any questions about the game or upcoming games you'd like me to review, let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, then give it a like and hit that bell icon next to the subscribe button to be informed when I upload a new review. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.